order on the day is our judge has done some homework and made some selections studying the EPDs of the cattle that are going to be in the show this morning. Then we'll bring them in the ring and make a phenotypic selection and combine those scores. And Parker will tell you a little bit about what he's going to do throughout the day here soon.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brett Spader. I'm pleased to serve as Executive Vice President of the AIJCA, and I'm so excited about everything that we're seeing this week. Young Josie and I, who sang the national anthem, were just visiting about her first time being here in terms of showing. Of course, she'd been here multiple times before, but she was so excited, and I think that encapsulates what we're seeing as a breed right now. We have the best set of people, we have the best set of juniors, and more importantly, we're at a really right time for the Charolais breed in the U.S. beef industry. And so I was very, very excited when staff came to us to talk about launching an inaugural P&G show. You know, when I've done work across multiple breed organizations and multiple groups of breeders, when we talk to bull buyers, when they start to select their genetics, they're going to propel them forward in terms of success. In many, 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 many cases, the vast majority of cases, they look at ads, they look at print advertising, they talk to their breeders to better understand the genetic selection tools that are in play, particularly EPDs, and start to sort through what's right for their operation. And then also importantly, they show up. And they look at phenotype in our breed, and they look at structure in our breed, and it's an important balance and combination of those two things that allows them to make their purchase decisions. So it gets me really excited to see staff and our board supporting it, and you as junior families supporting it. And I know that within a few years, we're going to see a set of cattle come out of here that's going to create a big impact on the breed. Ones that not only read well, but ones that teach the lesson of structural soundness and understanding of what ultimately bull buyers are looking for in the Charolais breed. So congratulations to the juniors that participated in this year. Thank you to the parents, and we're looking forward to a really great P&G show today, and thanks for being here.
Helping make our selection today for the P&G show, we're pleased to have Parker Henley join us. Parker's from Stillwater, Oklahoma, where he serves as the livestock judging coach, and Dr. Bob Tadashek, endowed chair fellow at Oklahoma State. Parker has coached the 2021, 22, and 23 national champion teams and was named Coach of the Year in 21 and 22. Named 2023 Best of the Barns Senior College Livestock Judging Team Coach. Currently, along with his coaching, Parker serves as extension specialist focused in beef cattle management and youth livestock selection and education. He received his master's and PhD from the University of Illinois while focusing his research in nutrition and management strategies for heifer and bull development systems. Parker was a member of the livestock judging teams at Butler Community College in Kansas State, where he received his bachelor's degree in animal science. Parker was raised in central Missouri, where he and family still raise Angus and Charolais cattle. They have bred or exhibited several national champions or reserve champions within the Charolais breed. Parker and his wife Christy have two children, Norman and Charlotte, and he has judged livestock shows in 33 states, Canada, and Mexico. So again, Parker, we appreciate you taking the time to join us here today.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to working through the show. I know we do not have a lot of cattle necessarily, but we're going to work through it slowly and explain everything and talk about it the best we can as soon as I find a spot that I'm not echoing here. But the way we're going to go about this is I will place them just on their phenotype as I have done here. and I'm going to talk about what I think I see in their phenotype, and then we are going to re-rank them in the order that I placed them on their numbers earlier in last night. I will talk about their numbers and where I see their strengths at that point, and then we will come back with a composite placing. Mr. Stout's going to read off the overall final composite placing. So there will be a little bit of re-racking as we go through here, but we want it to certainly be clear in how this is going to work. Ultimately, too, as you will see, it's going to be a golf score that will be posted up here in a minute based on how I rank their data and their phenotype. So we'll get started and follow along, and we'll try to explain as we go and tell you how ties are broken and things like that. So there are two strong individuals out here in this class. They're a little bit different from one another. To me, I went with the young lady's heifer up in the front just from a phenotype standpoint. I think she's got a little extra foot size and bone work to her. I also like how this heifer's a little longer and cleaner out of her front end and profiles up here very, very nicely. She gets out and travels tremendously off either end. I like her structure, her balance, her look here from the profile. A couple little things from phenotype. I would clean her navel up, and I would maybe just change her a little right out of her rump there a bit. But I think she's a well-balanced, growth, high-performing visually heifer that's got a lot of look and balance and structure to her. The heifer in second is a little heavier muscled when you step right in behind her. She's got a good shape down her top and out of her hip, and she's good bodied. She's nice sized. I would like to see her just a little smoother shouldered and neater how her necktie is in there, and then maybe let her reach just a little more comfortably off either end as well. But those are a pair of nice heifers. So my phenotype placing is first the young lady and second with the young man. We're going to go ahead now and get my genotype placing and pull them in and talk about that. Now, as we pull them back into order here, the young man's heifer is actually the one that I ranked first on their EPD profile and from a genomic standpoint. What I liked about this specific heifer, she's got breed average cavities and birth weight figures there, but she's got solid growth, but really where she excels is she's in the top 1% for a ribeye area figure, which all together makes her have a 294 TSI, which is in the top 10% of the breed there. She reads really nice, and I think a lot of things about her data to me are what I'm going to strive for. I'm going to look for cattle EPD profiles that obviously have the strengths that Charolais cattle are known for, growth, terminal, carcass stuff, but I know that you still have to have moderate birth weights and cavities figures as well here. So this heifer is going to win on her EPDs there. Again, like I said, very, very solid across the board from a carcass standpoint as you look at her. The young ladies will be second there. She is a little even stronger from a growth perspective. Very good yearling weight and weaning weight there. A heifer that I would like to see a little more conservative in her birth weight figure and maybe a little better in her calving ease, and that's why I put her second there. So she could be definitely stronger in that regard. But those are how I see their two numbers. Now overall they're going to put the total scores up, and Mr. Stout's going to read what the composite was and how those ties are broken, which I believe are broken on the phenotype placing. which is how we're going to go. And obviously this is just a class of 2, but if they have the same golf score, whichever one placed better on the phenotype end will end up winning the class. So you might know the answer to this specific pair, but we'll go ahead and pull them in and go through the show.
Again, as Parker mentioned, the ties on scores will go towards phenotype, will be our tiebreakers. So our results for Class 1, first place on the overall score goes to entry 102, CNO Miss Legacy 431 ET, owned by Cora Tunn of Ephrata, Washington. And second place is entry 101, Fires Starstruck 437M of NG, owned by Gratian Swartz from Lacine, Kansas. Those will also serve as your division and your reserve division champions. Would like to thank Mineral Creek Cattle Company as our Class 1 sponsor, your Division 1 champion sponsor, and the reserve champion, both sponsored by Schrader Ranch. In the ring next, we begin Division 2. Class 2 will be leading in the ring. Would like to thank Wright Charlet from Richmond, Missouri as your Class 2 sponsor. And your Class 2 will also be your Division 2 champion, and would like to thank Fink Beef Genetics as your Division 2 champion.
Okay, well, we're not going to have to do a lot of arithmetic here to figure out who's going to be the winner of this one. So obviously, single entry heifer, and hopefully as we grow in numbers in future years, it'll add to the excitement of it. But single entry heifer, and I'll kind of continue. We're going to do this all together here. From a phenotype standpoint, what I like in this heifer is that she's moderate sized. She's really good in her body type. She's feminine made, and she's still smooth and pretty sound there as well. Slicked off nice, and looks like she'll do very well as a brood cow prospect. Maybe I'd like to see her a little bigger bone, maybe a little thicker from behind, but overall very solid there. Now, talking about her data set, which I think is her strongest attribute that she brings to the table, you can maybe tell she's going to have solid numbers if you look that she's in the top 1% of the breed for TSI with a 315. I think that is driven by the fact that she's got a 1.24 ribeye area, a 92 weaning weight, and a 142 yearling weight, all of which really make her have strong terminal genetics there. And yet you get a $300 or 300 TSI with a negative 2.1 birth weight. And so this heifer really brings a nice EPD profile to the table here. If I were going to improve her in one area, I would maybe like to see her marbling figure just a little higher in addition. But overall, very strong numbers that she brings to the table with a certainly solid phenotype here. Congratulations, you're going to have her overall composite placing winner of this division.
In Class 2, first place in the single entry and also your Division 2 champion is entry 103, GC Miss Garnett, 403P ET, owned by Daniel Molina from Laredo, Texas. In the ring next, as we move into Division 3, we will have Class 3 coming in the ring. Would like to thank the Missouri Junior Charlet Association as your Class 3 sponsor.
Okay, as we get these two heifers ranked here on a phenotype standpoint, I'm going to talk about that, and then I'll be excited to see their numbers here and how I rank those in just a second. But young man's heifer is going to place first of the two, strictly on her phenotype. What I like is I'm not saying this heifer is a fancy, elite balanced heifer, but I like what she brings to the table just from a fundamental standpoint. She's very good footed. She's got some bone, some foot size to her. Her body and rib type is tremendous. She's got some extra length, extension to her there. And I think as you study her out moving, she's very sound and flexible and correct off either end there. A really good body type and rib to her, has a tremendously good look, just brood cow fundamental look to her here from the profile. I'm going to change her. I'd make her a little prettier up there about her head, maybe clean her up a little in her navel as well there, but I think overall good cow prospect. The next one here is a little moderate sized heifer, maybe a little smaller sized. She's got a good shape down her top and out through her hip there. I think a heifer that is a little cleaner in a few areas, maybe a little sharper fronted. One, though, that I'd like to see a little different in her foot shape and maybe add a little depth to her heel, maybe deepen her up just a shade compared to that one. Overall, a pair of really nice heifers there that the young people are working well with. So you'll be first, 104, and then you'll be second. So this is an interesting pair of them here. In my comments that I had wrote down, as you can see, the young ladies is going to win the pair from an EPD profile. But this is a very close pair of cattle from an EPD perspective. They both are solid numbered is what I would say. We're going to see some cattle that are a little more advanced in a few areas, but both these cattle are around the 40th to 50th percentile of the breed for TSI, and they actually have very similar birth and calving ease figures. And so if you look across there, there's a lot of similarities and not a huge variation. I went with the young ladies, heifer up here in the front. She's a little better in her growth figures, a 76 on her weaning, a 117 on her yearling weight. And then also if you transition out to her marbling, she's in the top 5% for the breed, has a 0.33 marbling figure. And I thought those couple areas outweighed the positive that the young man has from an EPD profile. But with everything kind of put together there, I think they both come in nearly a 270 TSI with very similar birth and calving ease figures. The young man's heifer here is much better from a ribeye perspective, and I think well better, and that's from an EPD profile what this heifer brings to the table compared to that one there. But it was a close placing from a data perspective, and so you guys know the answer in the previous class of two. We're going to go ahead and re-pull them in. This young man is going to end up having the composite first place because he won the phenotype portion of the pair, and then this heifer will be second. Stout, go ahead.
You bet. As Parker mentioned, the tie goes to phenotype. So your results for Class 3, first place overall goes to entry 105, Walmart Miss Burst Your Badge, 424P, owned by Isa Marston of Canton, Kansas. Second place overall goes to entry 104, Fires CK Harley, 426M, owned by Sutton Schwartz from Lacine, Kansas. In the ring next, we have Class 4. Would like to thank Schrader Ranch as your Class 4 sponsor.
All right, well, this is a really good class, and I'm going to be interested to see here in a minute when we get their data as well. But from a phenotype perspective, to me, these two heifers that I have over here to the right, they separated themselves and just have a little more eye appeal, a little more just stoutness and presence to them out here. And of this, I use this young lady's that's circling here, and I give up a little bit of front end to use a bigger ribbed, heavier boned heifer that's got a little more to her and probably even gets around and travels a little better off of her hind leg there as well. I think that's a tremendous kind of a heifer. Love her foot, her shape, her stoutness that she brings, her rib cage, her forerib, her just pin width is tremendous there. And like I said, gives you a pretty nice balanced look from the profile. Is she as long and clean and attractive about her front end as the heifer in second? No, she is not. And that's really where this young lady's heifer has an advantage. She is so extended. She is lean and fresh in her condition and has true muscle shape down her top and out through her hip there. She's a touch rawer right in her forerib and compared to the one that wins the class, and maybe just a little bit more hesitant off her hind leg, not as secure as our class winner, but I think very acceptable. To me, obviously we're not ranking these, but those two cattle have a strong advantage from a phenotype perspective over the next three of them down through here. And so there's some trade-offs between the next three. The young man's moderate, big-bodied, soggy made heifer is going to end up in third here. She's big top, she's thick made. She's honestly got a little more condition on her than I would deem ideal. I'd like to lean her up and clean her up a little bit about her shoulder and front end there. I'd like to make her just a little more balanced. But overall, she's still sound, she's thick, and she's got more to her than the next heifer. I thought about working this heifer up a spot here because she's a little fresher and smoother and sounder or comparable to the one in front of her. But when I step in behind her, I'd like to see a little more just meat and shape and width and power to her overall. But I think that's a fresh, deep, sound kind of a heifer there that just needs to be stoutened up. The heifer that's going to round out the group on phenotype is a little heavier muscled and thicker made than the one in front of her and maybe even the one ahead of her. My problem with this heifer is a little in her feet and her structure. She wants to turn those front feet out. She maybe gets pretty rigid and tight moving off either end. I want to just modify her structurally, and then she could work up in the class. But a nice group of them here. We'll get their data and we'll re-rank them here from an EPD perspective. Well, this is obviously interesting here, and we've switched around our ranking a little bit, but what I noted on this class is that these first three heifers up here are tremendous from an EPD perspective. They all have excellent data of the group, and so we'll see how everything shakes out here in a minute. But ranking first, just on their data sets, the young ladies entry 112, and so what I wrote down is that to have this combination an 82 weaning weight, 148 yearling, 1.27 ribeye, and a .29 marbling, all into one package, is very, very good. And, I think that's why you get up into the top 2% of the breed for a TSI, and yet you still get a negative birth weight on that heifer. Now, not better than breed average, but I think still acceptable with that kind of growth and that kind of carcass figures there. So I liked that one's EPD profile very well. In a close second, from an EPD perspective, is 106, the young man's there. This heifer's EPD profile is top 10% for Cavanese. She's still got pretty strong maternal figures, and even though her growth is not quite as advanced as the one ahead of her, she has got a great ribeye and marbling figures, which kind of prop up her TSI. So she's a 1.1 ribeye with a .35 marbling there. So solid maternal, good Cavanese figures with very, very strong carcass there that makes that heifer come into second. Again, I thought this one's data profile here, 110, was very good. I put down very, very solid across the board. I think at or above breed average in a lot of columns here. That's what ultimately gets TSI, terminal traits there, up to a 300 in the top 5% of the breed. Maybe not as much of an outlier in a few traits from an EPD profile as these first two, but very, very solid there. The two heifers here that are going to be in fourth, which is 111 here, I wrote down positive is this heifer's still good in her Cavanese. She's got a good maternal figure. Her milk is top 1%. I see that more as not as much of an elite thing. I like to see milk figures more around breed average or slightly above. I don't necessarily like to chase that too far. But where she could be improved is she needs a little more growth and a little more marbling. Her marbling figure's a little bit lacking. And in a very close pair, again, from an EPD profile, this heifer will be fifth here. I do like that she's got more growth than the heifer directly ahead of her there. But birth weight Cavanese is probably getting a little poor on the poor side of breed average, and maybe not as strong in ribeye, and a few of those things all culminate to this official placing from an EPD profile. So we'll now we've actually got to do a little math here, and we're going to pull them in, and we'll announce how they come out and rank in just a second.
So in Class 4, if you look at the board, on our overall scores, first place goes to entry 111 with JAB Latte 408, polled, owned by Shade Bunker from Sparta, Wisconsin. Second place overall is entry number 106, Reeves Miss Marlene Atlas 2400, owned by Hayden Sampson from Afton, Tennessee. Third place goes to entry 112, VCR Miss Matilda 492, owned by Hadley Holt from Lake Preston, South Dakota. Fourth place is entry 113, Schrader's Maroney 498M ET, owned by Drozy Schrader from Wells, Kansas. And fifth place goes to entry 110, WDZ Miss Brooks 4131, owned by Sutton Hill from Nunn, Colorado. Those combined, or the overall scores, again for Class 4, go 2-5, 1-3-4. In the ring next, we will select your Division III champion and Reserve Division champion. Would like to thank Riverdale Land and Livestock is your sponsor for both the champion and reserve champion out of Division III.
Well, we're going to pick a division here, and I'll make a few comments about these cattle. What's unique, and this system that we use here, where it's weighted 50% on each from a placing perspective, maybe doesn't, it's certainly not perfect, but it certainly works. But what it maybe doesn't do in a class is be able to award bigger gaps in data or award bigger gaps in phenotype. And so what we end up having here are a pair of class winners. This heifer was, I think, second from an EPD profile in her class, and this one was fourth. But when they both get out here, they actually have comparable EPD profiles in both of our first place class winners here. They're not much difference. I think really trying to sort those two cattle on their EPDs would not accomplish much. They have some trade-offs back and forth, and you could certainly justify either one. To me, when you look at their phenotype right here, there is a sizable difference in that. And the young lady's heifer in the back here it brings a strong phenotype to the table. She's sound, she's thick, she's got a good look to her. Overall speaking, I would say that, she's got good data. And as I mentioned, talking about her, she's above breed average for her TSI and still has, a Cavanese figure that's okay, and some of those things. She's not going to be as wild numbered or as a few others, but she has a nice combination of both data and phenotype here. She's going to ultimately be our division champion. Let's go ahead and congratulate this young lady here.
Your Division III champion goes to entry 111, JAB Latte 408 Pulled, owned by Shade Bunker from Sparta, Wisconsin.
Now, as we consider our reserve, this becomes more of a debate in which direction you want to go. There is a sizable gap from an EPD profile here and which one has the advantage. So from an EPD perspective, this young man's heifer in the back here would definitely have that advantage. I think she is quite a bit stronger in just TSI and a few of those areas, as well as Cavanese there. However, I would tell you that I prefer the phenotype of this young man's heifer up here from a condition standpoint, from a foot size and structure standpoint, and a length of side standpoint. I would definitely side with that one. And so there is some back and forth, and I could really listen to a debate here. Do you go with the stronger phenotype or the stronger numbers? I think their difference in both of those categories are about the same. What I mean by that, the amount of difference that this heifer is better from an EPD profile is about the same that this heifer is better from a phenotype perspective. And so I've thought about it and made my decision up that I was going to have those type of ties go with the phenotype advantage. So we're going to use this young man's heifer right here for reserve. Congratulations to you.
Your reserve division champion goes to entry 105, Walmart Miss Burst Your Badge 424P, owned by Isa Marston, Canton, Kansas. In the ring next, as we start Division 4, we will have Class 5 leading in the ring. Would like to thank Frontier Embryo Center as your Class 5 sponsor.
All right, well, this is a good class. A comment that came into my mind is that, all 5 of these cattle have strong phenotypes to them. And there's some nice looking functional cattle that are going to be, 4th and 5th in this specific class. And so a good, strong set of them. I specifically thought these top 2 cattle were good and close from a phenotype perspective, and they have some trade-offs between them. And I landed on this young lady's heifer here. A couple things that I like. I'll just get to the point. I think she's a little more moderate sized and she's heavier muscled. Are the 2 biggest reasons that I landed on her. Both of these cattle have a lot of look and presence and style about their front ends. They both, are extremely striking cattle. This heifer up here, when you get in behind them, is just bolder and wider and thicker and stouter, kind of all the way through. And, as I see her maturing into a cow, I think there's a little more just substance and power there. Is she as good in her foot shape and just as flexible structured as this 1 and 2nd? She is not, but she is far from unsound. In fact, she gets around and travels comfortably there. My 1 pick, I'd tuck her tail head down into her a little bit, would be that area. I like cattle like this 1 and 2nd as well. Some people, she might be a little bigger and maybe could be a little thicker made, but I think she is heavy bone, she is certainly good footed, and she is very flexible structured and has a long level hip in her as well there. In this pair, she came up against a really nice, strong looking heifer, and I would certainly like to maybe just see her a little bulkier, a little denser in her kind. Maybe tone her down just a touch and where I see her mature cow size getting to it one day there. But those are exceptional phenotype cattle. I thought those 2 are as strong as we've seen in that regard and have separated themselves in this class. This heifer in 3rd just kind of works her way into 3rd. She's not as fancy, not as striking as those first 2. But as I thought about it, she had fewer things that were bugging me. And, she's fresh condition. She's sound structured. She has some length of side and some look about her there. If I were going to change that heifer, I would give her just a little more substance and power, maybe make her just a little neater from the profile. But good, solid heifer. Young man's got a big-bodied, broody, thick-made heifer that's easy fleshing. I would like to see her a little fresher condition, maybe a little cleaner up through her chest and her front end there, but very solid kind of a cow prospect. Again, like I said, this is no slouch here. We got a long-sided, smooth-made, fresh-conditioned heifer that's very sound and agile in her movement. She comes a little plainer up front. She doesn't maybe have the thickness of a few of them up towards the top there, but I think overall a very good class, very nice pair of cattle up top. We'll re-rank them here on their EPDs. I thought that this is going to be very interesting because there's more of a spread maybe in this class from a data standpoint than maybe our last big class where I mentioned there were 3 very, very strong numbered cattle. I would say that this heifer that's going to be up here in first, has, by some margin, the best EPD profile of the entire group. 300 TSI with still 15 cavities figure, and you get to a very nice set of data there. Maybe I'd like to see her a little better in her marbling figure. That's where she's a little lacking compared to some of the other really strong numbered cattle, and as well in her scrotal figure there as well. But again, very strong numbers that put her up there in some of the better numbered cattle we have. After that, we get into 4 cattle that are all, probably closer to breed average in a lot of their carcass traits, or I guess their TSI, and so it becomes close. I did think this young man's heifer ended up working into second of the group here. Again, a 18 cavities figure with a 267 TSI. Nothing wild across the board, but very, very solid. Where I would like to see her improved and drive up her overall value would be to have a little more weaning and a little more yearling weight there to go along with it, maybe improve her ribeye area. But she's solid, functional numbered, I think one that's very, very useful. I wrote down that 3 and 4 were very close on their data set here, and they were very close on their phenotype as well. I ultimately landed on 115, this heifer right here in third. Really good marbling, and we haven't talked a lot about it, but she's got some of the stronger udder and teat EPD values that we've had. But marbling is what I ultimately sided with compared to the heifer that's going to be in fourth here. The heifer in fourth is got a little stronger cavities, a little stronger cavities, a little more weaning and yearling growth than the one in third. But where I need to see her improve, she's in the 90th percentile for marbling, and she's a little more lacking in ribeye too. So it was a trade-off. A little more marbling there, maybe a little more growth here. I thought overall that young lady's heifer EPD profile fit me a little better. And then in fifth, we're going to go with this one. Solid marbling, but just a little flatter numbered across the board. Not certainly anything bad. I think workable data, but maybe just not those outlying pieces there. Very good group. We're going to pull them in for our overall composite placing. We haven't clapped much, but let's congratulate this good challenging class here.
In Class 5, your placings and your overall scores. First place goes to entry 115, Schrader's Melania 497M ET, owned by Josie Schrader from Wells, Kansas. Second place is entry 118, BJF Susie 4029M, owned by Avery Coles from Hutchinson, Minnesota. Third place is entry 114, WC Sweetheart 4119P ET, owned by Isom Marston from Canton, Kansas. Fourth goes to entry number 116, TCC Barbara M9, owned by Harper Johansson from Lebanon, Missouri. And fifth place goes to 117, Schrader's Miss Margot 491M ET, owned by Maddie Kruger from Bennington, Kansas. Those places again for Class 5 go 3, 1, 4, 5, 2. In the ring next, we have Class 6, and would like to thank Fink Beef Genetics as your Class 6 sponsor.
Okay, well, this class of 4 is I think we had a scratch, they said, but 4 here, I think they fall together this way from a phenotype perspective. I land on this short-eared heifer here from a structure, kind of smoothness standpoint is why she wins. She's big-bodied, she's pretty sound, she's got a good balanced look here from the profile. I think a nice, solid, feminine-looking heifer there to lead off. Got a little chest and maybe at times got a little extra set right there to the point of her hock, but I like the smoothness, the body shape, specifically compared to this one in second, is a little longer strided and just a little more flexible. This heifer in second is a big, stout, powerful, wide-made, heavy-muscled heifer that's got a lot of just stuff to her when you get in behind her. With that, like most cases, you get just a little more front end, a little more shoulder in her, and at times gets just a touch more rigid. But boy, I've got to compliment just the rib shape, the muscularity, the expression, and then really nicely presented as well there. Just thought there was a little advantage from a structure flexibility standpoint up there. A really nice brood cow prospect here in third, and what I mean by that, certainly those first 2 are as well, but I like this one's size. I like her rib type. I think she's very easy fleshing. And again, I think she's maybe not as stout as the one right in front of her, but maybe has advantages in terms of width of skeleton and muscle even to the one that wins the class there. Where she comes up a little bit shorter is maybe she doesn't have just the balance, the eye appeal that the first 2 combine in a very fundamental package as well there, and that's why she ends up here. Just a little plainer up front, maybe just a little extra set there to her hind leg, but very functional, good kind of heifer there to be in third. Again, this one in fourth is big-bodied and thick and has some dimension to her. I'd like to see this heifer a little different out of her shoulder and her front end structure. I'd maybe also, again, like the one in front of her, make her a little nicer from a balance perspective. But this is a good class of 4 heifers here. Young people are doing well. We'll re-rank them and talk about their data. All right, well, as we talk about their data here, I wrote down some comments on this young lady, 123 here. I put wow numbered, and I thought as I went through and looked at the cattle and made comments, this might be the very best numbered heifer EPD profile of the entire show today. And so I want to compliment that young lady there. So a 321 TSI, and that is bolstered by a ribeye and marbling that's very high, and then you still got exceptional growth. And a negative 2.9 birth weight there. And so I thought this heifer was, daylights ahead of a lot of these cattle, or of any of them we've seen. And there's some very strong numbered ones here in just a second we're going to talk about as well. But this heifer had a awesome EPD profile, and I think has a lot of value, and still, like I talked about, the phenotype is strong there as well. Where That's ultimately as many compliments as I can give. I thought she is exceptional across the board. And second on the group was 120, which is this young lady's here. I think this heifer has got great numbers too. Maybe a lot like the class winner. She has nothing that's going to be problematic other than the fact that we would like to see a little more marbling in that one, which is what keeps her TSI not quite as high as that first one. But she has got a lot to bring to the table as well there. Ribeye, her growth is still solid, and birth and cavities are good. The heifer that's going to be in third, if you did not look at 121, if you could be accepted of her birth weight and cavities figure, everything else is exceptional. I guess not everything, but some of the very strong traits. She's in the top 1% for weaning and yearling weight, and she's in the top 1% for ribeye area and top 3% of the breed for TSI. So all of those are wild. Where she's a little lacking is she's a 2.1 birth and a 6.4 cavities. I certainly would like to see that a little more improved, and that's what knocked her down here to third of the group. Ultimately, she's got really neat parts, but ultimately maybe a couple areas you're going to have to breed around as well to have some bulls that are commercially in the realm there. So I did like some traits and some specific EPDs that she is an outlier in, but maybe moderate birth weight a little bit. And then in fourth is going to be this young lady's down here. I wrote down top 15% for weaning weight. But I would like to see her a little better in her marbling and her ribeye figures to work up as well. Maybe birth and cavities could be improved. So this is a good class. Will be interesting. I think I know where they're going to rank out here, but I specifically thought these first three cattle get into the TSIs over 300. That's very strong for cattle that have good phenotypes here. Congratulations to you. We're going to pull them in, see how the overall rank works out.
Your results for Class 6. First place overall goes to entry 121, JBE Miss Mina 404M, owned by Hayden Englert from Washington, Kansas. Your second place heifer overall score is entry 123, WC Sweetheart 4227P, owned by Oakley Shane from Holt, Missouri. Your third place heifer is entry 124, JAB Medusa 404, Polled ET, owned by Breeze Bunker from Sparta, Wisconsin. Fourth place goes to entry 120, VCR Miss Peppa 401P, owned by Bentley Holt from Lake Preston, South Dakota. Those places again go 4-1 scratch 2-3. In the ring next we have Class 7 and a single entry in this class. Would like to thank your Class 7 sponsor of CK Sales and Marketing. Also, we will select division following Class 7.
All right, I believe this is our final class, and we've got a September here that's going to be a single entry class winner. So I'll talk a little bit about our phenotype and numbers at the same time, and then we'll have a division. But this is a big ribbed, easy fleshing heifer that's got some thickness and power to her. Tremendously bulky made kind of a female here. Maybe condition-wise, I'd like to lean her up, maybe change her just a little bit in how those teats and udder are coming in, but I think certainly one that could be a nice cow prospect. We look at her data here. I do appreciate she brings good calving ease and birth weight figures to the table here. I would like to see her maybe a little more advanced in her weaning and yearling data, a little stronger in her carcass to get that TSI propped up there a little higher. But ultimately, I think still fundamental and has some good Cavanese genetics. Congratulations to you, young man.
In Class 7, first place is entry 125. PC Mispowered Up 336P, owned by John Chandler from Belton, South Carolina. Next in the ring, we will select your Division 4 champion and Reserve Division 4 champions. Would like to thank Vitalix is your champion of both your sponsor of both champion and reserve.
All right, well, this is a good division here, and congratulations to these young people. There's a lot of information. I'm just diving in and making sure we've got everything talked about and thought about here. So a couple things. I know Stout doesn't like me to talk to divisions, but I'll make a couple comments and kind of tell you where this is going here. But, these three class winners are all very nice. The one in the back, maybe there's just not quite the phenotype of these first two up here, but they're good cattle. And so between these first two here, if I'm going to talk about them from a phenotype standpoint, I probably see some advantages in the heifer up here in front, a little cleaner fronted, maybe just a little more shapely and a nice moderate cow size package there. Again, talked about maybe tucking her tail head down into her a little bit, but a good look, some muscle, some shape, in a sound package. The one behind her is a little bigger footed, a little longer bodied, all those things, but maybe comes with a little more front end, and maybe just a little bigger in her kind too. So that's the way I see their phenotype. Definitely leaning, if I was just going to say that, I'd lean this way over that one. From an EPD profile, they're interesting. This heifer here in the second class they got a huge TSI, and she's exceptional in her growth figures. What is interesting is if you're thinking about breeding Charolais cattle, where you fall on her birth weight and calving ease figure with that growth. Obviously, I'm not naive to think that if you get that kind of growth and ribeye figures, you're going to have a negative birth, all this crazy stuff. That's pretty hard to do. But I would say that her birth weight is a little bit concerning as I think about an overall EPD profile. But she is an outlier in several traits, which certainly makes her a unique breeding piece. The one up here in the front is maybe not as strong in her TSI, and certainly I'd like to see that at breed average or a little better, and we talked about the reasons that was. But she's also more conservative in her birth, and I think actually has very strong marbling figures, if I remember correctly there. And so there is some positives there as well. And so I think you have to weigh out which way you want to go there. Big outlying numbers that can certainly propel you forward in a purebred operation, but some that you're going to have to maybe watch a little bit, or one that's maybe not as extreme numbered, but maybe doesn't have as many outlying figures as well. So that's the decision that you have to make here between these as you go through it. I guess the way I've always thought about cattle and using their EPDs, I think certainly appreciate outliers, but I want cattle that are very consistent across the board and do not have major strikes anywhere. That's why I'm going to use this heifer right up here and use her phenotype advantage to win this division. Great job to you.
Your Division 4 champion goes to entry 115. Schrader's Melania, 497M, ET, owned by Josie Schrader from Wells, Kansas.
As this heifer comes in, I talked about how I liked her phenotype too. She's a little actually more like the heifer in the second class from a frame, depth standpoint, and a lot of those trade-offs I would have there. I think though I still think there's a lot of value in this heifer here. We're going to use her for reserve division champion.
Your reserve Division 4 champion goes to entry 121. JBE Miss Mina 404M, owned by Hayden Englert from Washington, Kansas. In the ring next, we will have your grand drive for your P&G Heifer Show. As we're preparing for our grand drive, we'd like to thank Merck Animal Health as your sponsor for your grand champion P&G Heifer. Your reserve champion heifer is sponsored by Transova Genetics.
The next one could be your best one if you start with the right genetics. For the cattle producer who knows, you don't settle for average, and neither do we. At Caprock Cattle Company, our bulls are built with a purpose, and our donor cows prove it year after year. From the show ring to the pasture, we're focused on performance you can build around. Our first annual bull sale coming April 2026. Semen and embryos available now. Caprock Cattle Company, your trusted partner in leading Charlotte genetics.
Well, congratulations, exhibitors and families, and we're so excited to bring this show to you. And I think it speaks to the versatility of the Charolais breed to have production cattle that excel from a phenotype standpoint. We're doing and selecting a set of cattle really naturally that do a lot of things well. More importantly, over the next 2 to 3 years, you're going to see a set of cattle come out of this that not only read great, but also look great and have those fundamentals of conformation that we know are important. And these juniors are going to have a true breeding piece as they select those cattle that can create bulls for the commercial industry that's so important. So a couple other aspects about why I think this show is particularly important. We've got the kids talking about EPDs. We've got them understanding that EPDs and accuracy of EPDs and understanding data. We've obviously asked that all these cattle be genomically enhanced EPDs. We're starting that conversation with them sooner rather than later. And I promise you, if they want to be in the industry long term, they need to at least be able to have those conversations with bull buyers and with other breeders in the industry. But I will also say this, you know, so many things in life, and particularly when it comes to selecting breeding philosophies, it's a balancing act. And there's no such thing as a real clear winner and loser. You have to weigh all these things based on environment, based on what your customers ask for, and this is a perfect reflection of that. So even EPDs themselves, you know, they were not meant to necessarily pick winners and losers. They were meant to improve what you have at home. And so if there's areas as a commercial producer that you want to increase your profitability on or solve problems with, that's what EPDs were created for. I applaud our judge as he works through these cattle today, and I applaud the kids because this is a really exciting thing for us as a breed, and really appreciate everyone being a part of this. If you have questions about this show moving forward, obviously, as always, reach out to staff. We can't wait to see this, as well as all the other great activities that we do this week, continue to create an amazing set of opportunities. And that's what we as a breed association are built to do. Not necessarily to tell people how to breed cattle, not to dictate, again, winners and losers, but to create those opportunities, to create that information exchange for junior as well as adult members. And we're here to serve you. And so you'll hear that a few times, I know, through the week. It's on full display here. Caitlin, Vanessa, everyone that's on staff here to support you guys as members. And I know that there's a lot of talk out there in terms of other breed associations and social media this last 2 weeks. But I want you to fully recognize and take a moment to thank staff when you see them, because they absolutely dedicate themselves to this year-round. So we're excited that you're here. We're excited where the Charolais breed is going right now, and we're excited about the role that we're going to fit in the industry as we look at yield grade, as we understand the opportunities that are there for us in terms of creating industry-responsive genetics. It's so important, and guys, it starts with these young people that are here at this show, because we'll do a lot of great things as breeders and members in this industry, but the full long-term impact of where the Charolais breed will go is very readily seen here with the young people. So again, congratulations to everyone involved, and thank you so much for being a part of this event.
Your lineup today in the grand drive of the Phenotype and Genotype show. Out of Division 1 is entry 102, C&O Miss Legacy 431 ET, owned by Cora Tony from Ephrata, Washington. Out of Division 2, we have entry 103, GC Miss Garnett, 403P ET, owned by Daniel Molina from Laredo, Texas. Out of Division 3, we have entry 111, JAB Latte 408, Polled, owned by Shade Bunker, Sparta, Wisconsin. And out of Division 4, entry 115, Schrader's Melania 497M ET, owned by Josie Schrader from Wells, Kansas. Your reserve champions in Division 1, we had entry 101, Fires Starstruck 437M of NG, and Grayson Schwartz from Lacine, Kansas. From Division 3, we have entry 105, Walmart Miss Burst Your Badge 424P, owned by Ison Marston from Canton, Kansas. And out of Division 4, we have entry 121, JBE Miss Mina 404M, owned by Hayden Englert, Washington, Kansas. Congratulations to all of our division champions out here in the ring today.
All right, well, as we've come to the end of our show here, you know, I am looking forward to the future growth of this specific show. I have made several comments as I look through show cattle that are very competitive, which is something that I like to breed specifically in my house. I look to make the best phenotype possible for the show ring, and that's what we focus on. But I think as I've kept track and followed along with genetics over several years, I've made this comment last night and several others, but our show cattle population and the EPD profiles that they bring forth are more close to the strongest phenotypes in the commercial industry, or the people that are selling bulls, than any other breed. And so if you look at some of the strongest cattle that are winning junior nationals in other breeds, I think our cattle on the top end still have very, very strong EPDs as a whole, and I'm proud of that. And I think we've done that in the Charolais breed by not chasing anything extreme. We've always selected for good cattle across the board, and that's exciting to me. I'm not going to talk about these. We went through their EPD profiles and the phenotypes of the cattle a lot. What I do think is the cattle that we're going to end up as Grand and Reserve, they have a lot to bring forth in their data sets and things like that. But I'm going to put a bet out there that these two will be in strong contention in their class, their divisions in the show on Saturday as well. So that's kind of cool to see, and I wish them the best of luck down the road. We made a few comments there. I was certainly excited to any way I can do to help out with the Charolais Junior National here in Missouri, and to get to judge this. That's exciting for me, and to spend some time. I mentioned this. I certainly really appreciate our association. And as you think about what our association brings, and I encourage everyone to be involved. It has given me a lot. As my family got into the Charolais breed, we were always very welcome. Our association, the field staff, even though we've had some changes, has always had a mindset to be kind, to be willing to talk, and to treat everyone with respect, and not talk down to people, not criticize and things like that, which made everyone feel welcome. And so I'm excited that there is so many families here, a lot of people that I do not know and some that I do. I'm encouraged by you coming here, and what I will tell you is that get involved. Our association will stand behind our people. I like to give this example that out of college, I've been fortunate to judge several shows, state, national level. I've got a lot of opportunities, but one of my first opportunities was right out of college by my own breed, and they recognize talent in our youth and certainly promote those. And I love that aspect, and I hope as we continue on, we continue to do that, because I've had a lot of opportunities through the Charolais Association. And so it'll be a fun week here. I know we've not been in any hurry. I've enjoyed getting to work with these young people, and as he mentioned there a minute ago, there has been some increased turmoil on social media and different breeds and things like that. I think that Charolais cattle are in a specific position. There is a lot of talks right now about increasing red meat yield in cattle across the board. What better breed is in a position to take advantage of that than the Charolais breed? We talk about things like late-day morbidity in feed yards to several other issues out there. I think a Charolais cross calf can certainly excel and bring a lot of value. It's tremendous time in the beef industry. I would encourage everyone to think positively, enjoy the moments, because we can all certainly relate to the times that were not as good. And so my last comment is good luck to you all the rest of the week in your contests and showing your cattle here. I've enjoyed it, and I hope you all have thought and learned a little bit about EPDs, and as we go forward, I'm looking forward to the growth and the success of this. Thank you to our association. We've got great leadership, and we've got great young field staff that I think are just awesome. And so let's thank them with a nice round of applause. We'll go out and we'll get our champions.
Your grand champion, Phenotype and Genotype heifer, goes to entry 115, Schrader's Melania 497 MET, owned by Josie Schrader from Wells, Kansas. Your reserve grand champion female is entry 121, JBE Miss Mina 404M, owned by Hayden Englert, Washington, Kansas. This concludes our show here this morning. Please consult the schedule for all the times for the contest throughout the day. We'll have team fitting back in this arena after lunch. And we will see everybody tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock as we begin our Bred and Owned Heifer Show.
Out on the plains where the cattle roam, Ryan and Welcome to Missouri, where the champions grow. Chevrolet, pride in the fields they sow. Junior dreams rise with each sunrise. Car Cattle Company, legacy flies.
We are excited to have stout, sound, and functional cattle. That is one of our major goals.
We look forward to seeing you at our fall clearance sale October 4th.
We will have 50 plus lots of Charolais, Red Angus, and Simmental females.
At Frontier Embryo Center, where tradition meets innovation in cattle breeding and fertility services, we're more than just a cattle service. We're your partner in elevating your herd's genetics. Our 60-day pregnant reset program and 6-month wean calf program are designed to maximize your genetic potential. With premium reset cows that are always on hand, health tested and selected for their docile and maternal traits, we handle the hard work so you can focus on growing your operation.
As a 2024 national finalist for the Beef Improvement Federation Seedstock Producer of the Year, Schrader Ranch takes pride in raising numerically relevant, industry-embraced Charolais and Simmental-influenced cattle that maintain phenotypic quality. Whether in search of a herd sire prospect, future donor, or youth project, you can have confidence Schrader Ranch genetics are cemented in problem-free, proven cow families. Make plans to attend the Schrader Ranch Annual Bull Sale the third Tuesday in March or visit year-round for private treaty female needs. Find us on Facebook or on the web at schraderranch.com.
When you provide animals with quality nutrition, you're consistent, you keep them healthy, and you do all the little things right on a day-to-day basis, you're going to put yourself in a position to get lucky. And when it comes down to that many good ones at a show, a lot of luck's involved. But when you do the right things at home, you put yourself in a position to be in that lucky circle.
On a day-to-day basis, it's wake up about 6 o'clock, get ready for school. And after I get ready for school, I go to the barn and I feed all my show animals. And when I get home from school at about 4 o'clock, from 4 to 8, I'm in the barn. The cattle and sheep and goats and pigs, they all need the same supplements to keep them healthy. And the healthier they are, the more they want to do, just like us.
Some people say that it doesn't take very much. They really just think that it takes a few laps around the pasture and scoop of feed, but they don't really know the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes is more of like taking an hour or two walking your goat or your sheep, cow, pig, whatever, and then setting them up and making sure they look perfect so they can hopefully go and win. But this world means a lot to me because no one really understands much of it. And it's just a joy to you that you know what it is.
SureChamp's just built on the same core values that the Biozyme company has. And I think back 40 years is a long time for a product, but think about 40 years worth of youth development. And think where the 40 years has gone in terms of the people that have gone through the realms of providing this to their animals every day, to experiencing some of the leadership and youth events that SureChamp was heavily involved in over the years, and the leadership positions that they are now. It's a lasting impact. And so it's really hard to just quantify what the real impact is, but when you see people that were wearing the SureChamp shirts and the people that were involved in the SureChamp brand and the people that SureChamp really allowed them the platform to express their leadership and what they've done moving forward in their careers and in their family life, I think it's pretty hard to put a real value on that.
The next one could be your best one if you start with the right genetics. For the cattle producer who knows, you don't settle for average, and neither do we. At Caprock Cattle Company, our bulls are built with a purpose, and our donor cows prove it year after year. From the show ring to the pasture, we're focused on performance you can build around. Our first annual bull sale coming April 2026. Semen and embryos available now. Caprock Cattle Company, your trusted partner in leading Charlotte genetics.
Out on the plains where the cattle roam, Ryan and Ashley built their home. Since 2014 they've made their mark. Under Missouri skies they've lit the spark. Welcome to Missouri, where the champions grow. Chevrolet, pride in the fields they sow. Junior dreams rise with each sunrise. Car Cattle Company, legacy flies.
We are excited to have stout, sound, and functional cattle. That is one of our major goals.
We look forward to seeing you at our fall clearance sale October 4th.
We will have 50 plus lots of Charolais, Red Angus, and Simmental females.
At Frontier Embryo Center, where tradition meets innovation in cattle breeding and fertility services, we're more than just a cattle service. We're your partner in elevating your herd's genetics. Our 60-day pregnant reset program and 6-month wean calf program are designed to maximize your genetic potential. With premium reset cows that are always on hand, health tested and selected for their docile and maternal traits, we handle the hard work so you can focus on growing your operation.
As a 2024 national finalist for the Beef Improvement Federation Seed Stock Producer of the Year, Schrader Ranch takes pride in raising numerically relevant, industry-embraced Charolais and Simmental-influenced cattle that maintain phenotypic quality. Whether in search of a herd sire prospect, future donor, or youth project, you can have confidence Schrader Ranch genetics are cemented in problem-free, proven cow families. Make plans to attend the Schrader Ranch Annual Bull Sale the third Tuesday in March or visit year-round for private treaty female needs. Find us on Facebook or on the web at schraderranch.com.
When you provide animals with quality nutrition, you're consistent, you keep them healthy, and you do all the little things right on a day-to-day basis, you're going to put yourself in a position to get lucky. And when it comes down to that many good ones at a show, a lot of luck's involved. But when you do the right things at home, you put yourself in a position to be in that lucky circle.
On a day-to-day basis, it's wake up about 6 o'clock, get ready for school. And after I get ready for school, I go to the barn and I feed all my show animals. And when I get home from school at about 4 o'clock, from 4 to 8, I'm in the barn. The cattle and sheep and goats and pigs, they all need the same supplements to keep them healthy. And the healthier they are, the more they want to do, just like us.
Some people say that it doesn't take very much. They really just think that it takes a few laps around the pasture and scoop of feed, but they don't really know the behind the scenes. The behind the scenes is more of like taking an hour or two walking your goat or your sheep, cow, pig, whatever, and then setting them up and making sure they look perfect so they can hopefully go and win. But this world means a lot to me because no one really understands much of it. And it's just a joy to you that you know what it is.
SureChamp's just built on the same core values that the Biozyme company has. And I think back 40 years is a long time for a product, but think about 40 years worth of youth development. And think where the 40 years has gone in terms of the people that have gone through the realms of providing this to their animals every day, to experiencing some of the leadership and youth events that SureChamp was heavily involved in over the years, and the leadership positions that they are now. It's a lasting impact. And so it's really hard to just quantify what the real impact is, but when you see people that were wearing the SureChamp shirts and the people that were involved in the SureChamp brand and the people that SureChamp really allowed them the platform to express their leadership and what they've done moving forward in their careers and in their family life, I think it's pretty hard to put a real value on that.